Hi, John. You're on mute.
But all my gingers are here.
Travis, you were on mute.
Not following my own rules. Sorry about that, everyone. Welcome if you're just joining us. As I mentioned before, just go ahead and please mute yourself if you're on unmute, and we're going to get started here in a few seconds. You can show video if you'd like or not, totally your preference, but we're going to make this a really fun and informational meeting tonight. So we're excited that you joined us. So if you are just logging on now, welcome everyone to PSE's virtual summer conference for the Northwest region. We're really excited that you're spending your evening here with us tonight. We're going to go over quite a lot of really great information, and it's a chance for us to connect during the lead up to what would have been convention week. So it's really good to see everyone virtually. So as you know, this event is this week, and we also have webinars next week covering some great topics. So I highly encourage you all to go on and register for those webinars if you haven't already. We also tonight at the end of the evening do have a prize giveaway. So make sure you stick with us to the very end. You do need to be present to win. We are giving away a $100 Fred Meyer gift card and also a $100 gift card to the PSE store, so you can buy some awesome union gear. So let's get started here. So as I mentioned, here are the upcoming webinars for next week. I'm going to do a little bit of a walkthrough for the portal and Connect a little bit later and show you how to register for these if you haven't already. Monday, we've got a diversity and inclusion webinar. Tuesday, Department of Retirement Systems. Wednesday is some representatives from the Department of Health. And then on Thursday, we're going to talk about member benefits. And finally, on Friday, we're going to have our keynote speaker, Justin Patton. He's a leadership expert. I've been through one of his conferences and they're really amazing. So you definitely don't want to miss that. So as we're getting started here, again, if you're just joining us, please make sure you're muted. There is a chat box. So if you have questions throughout, you can go ahead and type those in. We have some staff and member leaders who are going to be monitoring the chat, and we have times for questions as well. So again, go ahead and show your video if you'd like to. If not, no worries. And just stay muted unless you're called on for a question. All right, so let's get started here. So as you know, PSE is separated into zones, but for these meetings, we're also separating them into regions. So the regions this week are going to be in Auburn, the Northwest region, which is us tonight. We also have the Spokane region and the Tri-Cities Central Washington region, and finally Southwest Washington, Vancouver region. So I'm going to ask our folks from these zones to jump on and kind of introduce themselves and let us know kind of what chapters are in each zone.
Hi, Travis. Welcome, everybody. This is Brad Bodine. I'm procedural lead and the Ledge Council member from Zone 8, the #1 zone in far Northwest Washington. Well, we have Burlington. We take care of the islands, Whatcom County, Skagit County, Island County, and we kind of split, go down half of Snohomish County too. So our zone is pretty big, and we have all the way from South Woodby all the way up to the border up there in Linden. And we also take care of like Concrete and Mount Baker. And we have, we cover quite an area, and we have quite a bunch of people that are, we have a really good bunch of people up here. If you're thinking about moving, this is the place to move to, okay? That's about it for us.
Awesome, thanks, Brad. All right, next we have Zone 11.
Thanks, Brad. My name is David Nowotny. I'm the Zone 11 Director. I'd like to share something about our zone. We mainly cover Snohomish County. Our urban centers are in the Everett and Edmonds area, but we branch out as far north as Stanwood and as far east as Skykomish, which is actually in King County. So we have a little piece of King County. we represent great members from great school districts. I'll just read them off to you right now. Some districts we have multiple chapters, but Arlington, Darrington, Edmonds, Everett, Granite Falls, Lake Stevens, Lakewood, Marysville, Monroe, Mukilteo, Skykomish, Snohomish, and Stanwood, Camano, and Sultan. Thank you all for your continued support. And sorry we couldn't meet in person, but this is how we have to do it. Thank you very much, and looking forward to all the information we get to share tonight.
Dave, I have a question for you really quick.
Okay.
I had sent you a message earlier today, and I'm wondering, I'm getting a lot of people asking me, did you send out like a massive text telling people to file for?
Travis is going to get to this later, so.
Oh,
Yeah, so just FYI, everyone, we are going to get to a lot of ground tonight. So just in the best interest of time, if you do have a question, please do put it in the chat function, and we'll get to it as soon as we can.
Okay.
We will be covering that in just a moment, though.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's hear from Zone 13. Do we have Rich online?
Yes, hi, I'm Rich Dustin. I work at Western Washington University as a network technician. I'm also the higher ed zone director, and that includes Western Washington University, Central Washington University, and Eastern Washington University. And we are the only zone that is non-geographical. We kind of float over the top of everybody else. So, thanks everybody for being here, and I'm done.
Awesome, thanks, Rich. So moving right along here, here's our elected leaders. You just heard from a few of them. Zone 8 director is Dick Sanderson, couldn't be with us tonight, but he is the zone director for 8, and we have Legislative Council Representative Brad Bodine, you just heard from him, and also Membership Committee member Janine Rowland. And then in Zone 11, you heard from David Nowotny, the zone director, and we also have Legislative Council Representative Jody Japp and Membership Committee member Jesse Crowther. And from Zone 13, you heard from Rich, and we also have Legislative Council Representative Cindy White and Membership Committee member Joetta C. Glock. So on the staff side, within our staff, we do have staff across the state who support the entire PSE zones. Within our region, we do have the following PSE staff who support membership. From the membership department, we have Kathleen Brown. Unfortunately, she's not with us tonight, but she is awesome, and if you call PSE, you just might get to speak with her. From the communications department is myself. I'm Travis Tingval. My official title is Political Communications Specialist. I help handle all the communications that go out statewide. So yeah, that's me. And if everyone else just wants to pop on and introduce themselves.
My name is John Capel. I'm one of the field representatives on the call tonight.
Anuadia, or TMR, one of the member engagement specialists.
Nikki Lenson, one of your field reps.
Linda Johnson, Regional Office Coordinator.
Michelle Childs, another member engagement specialist.
Dan Peterson, another field representative.
Kim Bush, I'm another one of the field representatives.
Okay, so I think that might be everyone. So if you're just joining us tonight too, I want to mention we are recording the call tonight just so we can send it out afterward, and anybody who wasn't able to join us will be able to watch it. So just know that it is being recorded. Again, if you have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat box here, and we are going to do our giveaway at the very end, so make sure you stick with us till the whole thing. So we just brought this up a little bit earlier. There was a text message and some emails that went out. I know those might have inadvertently caused some confusion, but really want to encourage everyone to really read that closely. PSE does not have any inside knowledge of anything that's going to happen. We're not speaking to any positions or classifications in particular. It's just a good best practice and recommendation that we're advocating for right now. As your union, we want to stick up for you and make sure that you're able to get back pay if you apply now. So in the event that you are laid off in the fall, if you apply now, you'll get retroactive pay. Whereas if you apply in the fall, then you won't receive that back pay. So that's really the big reason why we sent this out. It's not saying you're going to be laid off. It's not saying anything about that. Schools are still finalizing their plans. We're not sure what's going to happen with COVID-19 and just a lot of uncertainty right now. We just want to make sure you're covered either way. So it can't hurt to go ahead and apply now, which is why we're recommending that. And that does qualify even if you have signed a NORA letter. We still recommend going ahead and apply now. Again, there's no downside if you do. It's just a recommendation just in case. So I hope that answers most of the question around that. Do we have anything?
Is it okay if we ask Shelley if that satisfies any questions?
Yeah. Shelley, did that kind of address what your question was?
Yes, that's great. I just had a lot of our members calling saying, is it just because we've had the scam that was going on with people applying that weren't really applying, and they wanted to know, is this a scam or is this real or is it? And I explained to them that it was for their safety and that I was pretty sure, but I would find out for sure tonight. I said, because if it came from David, he's our zone, or yeah, he's our zone director. So.
And personally, when I looked into it myself, I found that somebody actually had already started a claim on my behalf. So it could save you time on the back end, realizing someone's started a fraudulent claim now, and should you happen to apply later, you would want those funds available as soon as possible rather than stuck in the mire like what we're seeing on the news right now. So PSE really is trying to get their best foot forward on this, and sorry for any confusion, but I would much rather receive this and not need to use it than be in the position of needing the resources immediately. So sorry if any confusion on my end, but this was a statewide ask and we delivered. We volunteered our services to help PSE on this. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
So, and also I'm going to show everybody a little bit later, but we actually have a whole landing page on the PSE website that will hopefully answer some of those questions. And we really encourage everyone to really read that closely because, again, we're not, claiming to have any inside information. It's just a best practice as your union saying, it probably would be a smart idea to do this just in that event. I'm not saying it will happen, but it's just a good idea now with really no downside to going ahead and applying. I see some other questions coming in, and I want to let everybody know that you can also go to the Employment Security Department website. They actually have a chat feature there. Any specific questions about unemployment can be directed to them. We have a direct link from our website too, so I will show you that here in a few moments. Oh, sorry. All right, so next we're going to talk about zone council meetings. So just kind of want to open it up first. Does anybody have any idea kind of what the goal of these meetings are? Have you ever attended one of these council meetings?
I think I've gone to 20 of them, 30 of them now. So I've had a few under my belt. One thing is just get communications. Remember when we first were having these, there wasn't a thing called internet or such as Zoom or any of that. So this is how we communicated all through those years and made decisions and made plans for get-togethers and stuff. And we transferred all our information. It was also a good place to see faces because honestly, it's nice to read an email, but it's better to see a face.
Awesome, thanks Brad. Is there anybody else who wants to kind of jump on and talk about their experience with the zone council meeting?
It really is a good opportunity to meet with the leaders and hear feedback from them directly and try to come up with a plan to get more people engaged and better serve our communities and better serve the people, the membership of PSE.
As a higher ed in my particular meetings, they go pretty quick because I've only got 3 chapters. But the main thing we try to get across is what's on the horizon, what's coming up, There's a lot of dates. I mean, a lot of dates and triggers that go on, and people get lost in that. They have jobs and they're quite busy. So basically, I use them just to center the zone in between when we usually all met, which was conference and convention.
As a former zone director, it was useful to me to use them to communicate between the board of directors and the chapters, going both ways. You know, getting input from the chapters is what needs to go to the board of directors, and vice versa. It was a very good way to communicate back in the day, as Brad said, before there was internet, Zoom, email even. It was the face-to-face meetings were and still are a good way of communicating.
That's true, Ross, because I remember having to send a letter Pony Express to you once, and that's
we are that old, yes.
Hey, Travis, staff, lots of times the zone directors, when we did meet face-to-face, would also ask us choose some topics that maybe the chapter presidents have been maybe asking them a lot of questions about, and then they would ask us to help with some training on that specific topic so that those chapter presidents could get that very specific training on something. Maybe it's about I can't think of something offhand. Maybe it's about bargaining and looking up information about their school district's finances or something like that, and we would help facilitate that information. So they're very it's a very useful way to help bridge the gap between the board and the chapter the chapter meetings, as well as just connections within the zone. I think it's just a really nice way to have everybody meet other people and other people outside their chapter.
Awesome. Thank you, Nikki. That's really good information. Good ideas in there too.
Hi, so this is Deanne Van Winkle.
Hey, Deanne.
Hi, so I was a zone director, and I want to say that I think our union is doing an extremely good job right now at taking care of the needs of our members, and we really appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you stepping up and taking care of things for us.
Well, thank you, Deanne. I know there's a great team on the call tonight, and I know that, you know, PSE is really the members. I mean, the member leaders are the ones who are really pushing a lot of this forward, and you know, they're putting in a lot of long hours, and you know, the zone directors are all volunteer positions, chapter presidents are all volunteer positions, so those folks are really the ones who are really doing this work, and they're doing a tremendous job. So appreciate you giving a shout out to them. Does anybody else have anything to add about zone council meetings? I know that now, thanks to COVID, we actually can't meet face-to-face. So I'm curious if anybody has any input about meetings online, kind of like this one through Zoom. Have there been any meetings or potentially doing a zone council meeting online?
I will say, Travis, if any of my Stanwood folks are here, we have bargained, TA'd, and now ratified a whole contract online. So it can be done.
Yeah, and a lot of that too, it's helpful to have the portal and Connect during this time too. So I'll show you a little bit once we do the walkthrough of the demo, but I know that chapters who have held meetings and votes online have definitely benefited from using that platform as well.
You know, one thing that, I mean, we've done a lot of our meetings, and of course, in our chapter meetings, they're a lot larger, but we've also had this Northwest leadership meetings that are just wonderful. A lot of great ideas, and thanks to the field reps for starting that has really helped a lot, answering a lot of questions that we get every day.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad. Okay, anybody else? I think we're probably good to move on to the next slide here. Okay, so next topic we're going to talk about is diversity and inclusion.
Thanks, Travis. I'm kind of stepping in for my colleague, Kathy Brown, who unfortunately is not feeling well. But she really felt like it was vital that since we are having a seminar on diversity and inclusion on Monday, we kind of go into a little bit detail as to why it's important and really what it is. So I'm just going to kind of read this aloud. The number of factors that define diversity are truly unlimited. Throughout an individual's life, many things alter who they are as a person. These nature versus nurture interactions are what diversity and involve the human race, allowing individuals to connect and learn from each other's differences. Listening to other stories and experiences may help us to better understand these differences. Celebrating the differences is how we learn to coexist and thrive. So we are, in fact, a diverse group here tonight, and we can't forget that. Some of the factors that are most common individual differences that are referred to when it comes to diversity in the workplace, many of the same differences we also see in the students in our schools and universities. So age, ethnicity, race, religious beliefs, gender expression, sexual orientation, education, socioeconomic status, citizenship status, ideologies, language, physical abilities, and beliefs. So wanted to talk a little bit about not just diversity and inclusion, but Black Lives Matter. Recently, PSE did a bit of a notification on Black Lives Matter that was mainly met with nothing but positive support, a few naysayers from our membership. But I kind of just wanted to give a little more personal aspect to it. Black Lives Matter is something that's become really, really important to me. These are two pictures of my family. On the right is my immediate family, most of whom live in Atlanta, Georgia. And on the left is my newest nephew that I got to hold when I went out there in January. So to say the least, Black Lives Matter because my family matters to me. And saying Black Lives Matter doesn't mean that my life matters less. It doesn't mean that all lives don't matter. All lives do matter. But for us, as we champion human rights, champion workers' rights, it's important that life matter to our government, to police officers, and to our union. So I just kind of wanted to put a little more personal aspect as to why this has become really important to me and why I think it's worthwhile for us to talk about it as a union. So thanks, that's a little insight into me. I don't know if people have any questions or thoughts. See if you can see me in the picture on the right.
This subject's important to me because I grew up rurally, and as a child, you know, we would see things on TV happening, mainly like the LA riots, and my parents would say, hey, that doesn't happen here, or that's not how things really are. But as an adult, I really see them as a way of using those excuses to kind of sweep it under the rug. And I really want to use, you know, myself as a steward of human rights. Working in a union really shows you that, you know, it doesn't matter where we come from or what culture or what language we speak. What matters is that we take care of our communities and we be protected while on the job. By taking those core values of union stewardship towards human life, it's really easy to just equate, you know, Black Lives Matter. And we support our brothers and sisters who fight every day, and to let them know that we're here to support them when their community is in anguish. It's really strengthening for me as an individual to know I can stand up for them and do my part for a better future. So I could tell my kids that I was able to do something and I did it. Thank you.
Travis, this is Tim. I really appreciate all the conversation and the information Johnny shared about his family, his life. The staff has been working And we've had considerable discussion and training about diversity and inclusion. And the most amazing thing about the journey and the story I tell is I was 16 years old in 1968 when Dr. King was assassinated, when Robert Kennedy was assassinated. We watched city burn, and everybody said, yeah, we're going to try to make it better. And I think what's really important is we're changing the diversity and character of our country are changing because we're always a country of immigrants. And the amazing thing about our discussion is the personal stories you learn about people, what their backgrounds are. And I know amongst the folks that are on the call, some of the folks grew up in modest means, are from native cultures. So part of this is just recognizing the big family tent of our union. So it's been a great journey and I appreciate it. And we want to move forward with this.
Hi, this is Charlotte. I really felt that it was time that PSA make a statement because no statement is a statement. And I'm not saying anyone matters more than others. We represent all of our members, no matter their classification. We need to represent them no matter their sexual orientation, their religion, or their skin color. So we've just begun the discussion. No big thing has been done. It's time that we open that and start talking about it. Thank you. And I got great feedback from the members and from staff when I did the thing. And it was just for me, it wasn't from the board.
Awesome, thank you, Charlotte. So kind of moving along here, we want to take a moment to remember Representative John Lewis, who passed away this last weekend. Definitely a civil rights icon. Later went on to serve in Congress for many years and was just a champion for social justice. So wanted to take a moment to recognize him. You know, he was right there in Selma, and he was had some horrible violence enacted upon him, and he was right there with Dr. King as the civil rights movement was just getting going in the 60s.
Travis, could you real quick, I just kind of wanted to add, in that family photo, my stepmother is wearing purple, I think, right there. She actually ditched school that day to go march in Selma where she was in school.
Did she really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
She grew up in a household where her mother was a cook in a restaurant and the children were not allowed to go through the front entrance. And we have a long ways to go. We have a long ways to go. But let's not forget how far we have come. Thank you.
Absolutely. So Tim, I know, did you want to speak a little bit on this slide here?
But I want to say something else about John Lewis that I think is really significant. He was the last surviving group of 7 speakers that spoke at the famous march in 1963 at the Lincoln Memorial. He was arrested 46 times, including after he was in Congress. And his major thing was to say to people, I'm here for good trouble. And when you think about that, that means standing up for what you believe. And so thank you for including him. I thought that was really important. Excuse me. So the reason on the next slide with Dr. King, those of you that ever did training with me over the years in team, know this is probably one of the most famous pictures in labor history. And what I've discovered in my long life and training with people with the International, with SEIU, is that people sort of know something about great leaders. Everyone will tell you Dr. Martin Luther King was a great guy. But most people don't know, including young Latinos, young African Americans, why he was in Memphis in April of 1968. He was there for a garbage strike because the men that are walking in this picture picked up garbage for the fine citizens of Memphis. The cans were rotten. They wouldn't hold garbage. They got drenched. it was raining, and the folks in the good folks in the community wouldn't let the guys get out of the rain. So 2 workers sat on the back of a garbage truck. The lift malfunctioned and crushed them both. They died. The city wouldn't pay for their funerals. So Dr. King was in Memphis in April of '68 when he was assassinated, fighting for union rights. And that is never brought up, never brought up. So part of what I want to do is talk about we connect with the dignity that these folks have. So thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Really appreciate you speaking on that. Okay, so moving on here. Next, we would like to welcome Field Representative Nikki Lenson and Laura Rogers from Everett to speak about our paraeducator training update.
All right, so Laura is going to talk with us tonight on the para training. Laura, I have the honor of working with Laura in Everett just with her chapter, and so she is very knowledgeable and she brings a great deal to the para board. So Laura, what we would really like to know is what are some of the things that the para board, what is the para board?
We are a 9-member board that was created in 2017 that has 2 PSE members, myself and Lauren Sickles. We adopted the minimum employment requirement and standards of practice for paras. We established requirements and policies for the general ed and the advanced para certificates. We developed requirements and policies for para subject matter certificates in ELL and special education. And we approved and developed courses that are required for paras to meet the certificate requirements. We make policy recommendations for a para career ladder that will increase opportunities for professional advancement.
You guys do a lot. Now, what did you accomplish just on that para board just for this past school year that we had?
For the 1920 school year that we had, we received funding for the fundamental course of study for the complete 4 days, but then it was vetoed, so the funding was not there. We are asking for it again. We'll need to be reaching out to the legislature to get that. We have extended, well, we put in an emergency order that the date of the 7-hour required in-person training is not required in person. It can be done through Zoom. And we're asking that that be extended through December 31st of this year so that people are able to complete the 28 hours of training.
Oh, that is great. Hey, when will that, is that information public already or is that still in process?
It's still in process.
Okay.
But if you go to the Paraeducator page and you look at our July board meeting, it will have in there that it was talked about and what was said.
All right, so that's to come. So what are there any new or what are the requirements for the 2021 school year?
Well, it's expected that the base funding retains so that districts will complete the final 14 hours or start the 14 hours for the new hires. And districts are required to provide this training for the paras. The paras don't have, they're not to go look for it. Districts are to provide it for them.
All right. And I know another question that we get a lot is if the general para certificate is required once you finish the fundamental course of study.
At this time, it's not required unless it's fully funded. People can go ahead and work on it, complete it, and submit the paperwork to OSPI. Because when it is funded, it's 3 years from when the fundamental course of study was completed.
So, Laura, were there any other common questions that come to you on a daily basis?
Oh, all the time. Most of what we have already talked about, there people asking how to access different trainings, asking about the training that we put on our website, the Paraboard website for districts to follow for training, and that was so that districts can't say they don't have time to develop anything. It's already been developed. They can just tweak it for their own individual district if they feel the need.
Thank you. We have put your email address up. Is it okay if any of the members on this call or in the zone contact you if they have any questions about the para training?
Yes, that's just fine.
Does anybody have any questions for Laura about the para training this year?
I just have a comment about the training. I'm a new para and took the training this last year, and I just learned so much. I am so appreciative of the work that's been done in putting in the training. I first entered as a para without any knowledge of anything, just kind of like dropped in, and here I am, I'm here to help. And the training has just been fantastic. So thank you so much for all your efforts. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It would have been helpful to have many years ago when I was a para to start the job cold.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Laura, so much for your time.
Thank you.
I wanted to second what Jan said. I agree, Laura. I think that our district ended up doing the second 14 hours this year because of having remote learning. So we did it as PD. And so we got to do the in-person for the first 14, and then we did the OSPI modules for the second. But it was so legitimizing, I think. We got so much feedback just saying, this would be my 20th year. And we've had lots of, well, not lots, but we've had many trainings over the years. And this one felt so, just so practical for us. It was informative, and it was just different than any of the other trainings that we've had. It was just comprehensive, and it was really great. So thank you for your part in all of that.
You're welcome. One other thing I wanted to mention is the nice part about this is that no matter where in Washington you are working, you're receiving the same training. So you can move, I'm in Everett, you can move from Everett to somewhere in Eastern Washington, and you know that you received the same training. So that helps a lot. That's all I have.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Laura and Nikki. Appreciate it. All right, now we would like to talk about our School Employees Apprenticeship Program. So Tim, would you like to take it over from here?
Yeah, I wanted to share some general information about where we are in the apprenticeship program. We're really roaring in Northwest Washington. We have employees from members from 7 different school districts from Burlington, Edison, Mount Vernon, Cedar Woolley, Stanwood, Camano, Lakewood, Mukilteo, and Snohomish. We also have some of our members out of Auburn participating. And we've just added a management representative from the Yakima Valley, which will open up some opportunities to do apprenticeship in that particular area. We're focusing on 4 particular programs. And in a moment, I'm going to have David Nowotny talk a little bit about his involvement. We're doing the Paraeducator 1 and 2, which are programs that are approved by the State Board for Community and Technical Colleges. And if you complete the Paraeducator 2, you'll be at the level of a transferable AA degree. We're also utilizing, amongst 3 individuals from Snohomish, the Secretarial Clerical Program. And we're doing all of this right now online because we have to, but more significantly, we've overcome some time-space continuum that we used to have, meaning that if you couldn't find a local community college that would train, then we sort of stopped. Nothing happened. So those 3 individuals in Snohomish are taking classes through Green River College in Auburn, which is really been wonderful to work with, as is Skagit Valley College, which is doing the Paraeducator Training. If you want to find any more information about our program, in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see the website that we have put up. We got some grant funding. It's got lots of good information. You can contact me. And most significantly, I've been with this program so long that I can't even remember when I started, which was 1987. But this program has always been driven by PSE. And it's also very significantly a joint labor management production, meaning we do this through collective bargaining, and both PSE as the union and our employers are represented. And I'm very pleased to work with Nikki Lenson, who's my colleague field rep and my buddy and lives in Mount Vernon, and did a great job interviewing Laura, and David Nowotny as a board member and a zone director. We're continuing to move along. We're looking for some additional funding sources to try to mitigate the cost of tuition. Apprentices pay 50% of tuition currently in the college system. So anyway, I'd be happy to answer any questions. If not, I'd like to have David comment a little bit if he would.
Thanks, Tim. As the newest member of the JATC, I'm just happy to help support members who want to better their lives for themselves, maybe their families or maybe their communities. Programs like this are going to create more valuable employees for their districts, and in turn their career is going to do much better. This is a great program to get started. Like Tim said, it's going to help some folks earn some college credits, maybe even an AA degree. And there's nothing saying anybody has to stop at paraeducator. The sky's the limit. Once you get started with the education, some folks might realize they want to go higher than they ever achieved. And that's really the idea, is to get people started and, you know, living up to the potential that they have inside of them, and really kind of giving them the opportunity to succeed where maybe the opportunity wasn't there before. So for me, it's exciting to watch employees and my coworkers grow. And I'm really excited about this opportunity. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, David. So next, I'd like to welcome our Member Engagement Specialist, Michelle Childs, as well as Regional Office Coordinator, Linda Johnson, who are going to cover a little bit about welcoming new hires to PSE.
Hi, everyone. So as Travis said, my name is Michelle, and I'm a Member Engagement Specialist. I'm going to be talking a little bit about welcoming new hires. So the RCW that you were seeing on the screen basically says that unions have the right to access all new hires within the first 90 days of employment, and that we're allowed to meet with our potential members for no less than 30 minutes during normal business hours to present information about our union. So you think about it, all new hires, they need to know that they have a contract that covers their wages, hours, and working conditions. And if we don't tell them, how will they know about their union benefits? So even though the RCW is written black and white, it doesn't mean that it's happening in all of our chapters. So every contract must have language that addresses when and how we greet our new hires. So I've kind of created like a wish list, or a list that we need to be successful when we think about new employee outreach. So number one, we need notification from the district of who they've hired. And we also need their personal contact information. So that's home email, home phone number, cell number. So the notification needs to go out not only to the leadership, but also to the PSC state office. So this leads to number two, we need accurate data. So how many of you leaders are on tonight and have, pulled a list, and when you're looking at your list, getting ready for your meeting, you're going, oh, wow, well, Benny doesn't work here anymore, or such and such is no longer here. So the information that we have is only as good as what is reported. So whether it's a hire, retire, or a termination, we want to know about it. So you as leaders, even, you can't be in multiple places at the same time. people come and go, especially in the larger chapters. In those buildings that you don't work in or you don't have a building rep, how are you going to know when someone leaves? And then chasing after new hires that no longer work for the district is not a productive way to spend our time. Then we have a new challenge, COVID. So we may or may not be working in buildings. How do we meet people have a one-on-one conversation? It may not happen, but we just can't let these people sit on idle. We need to reach out to them. So the future of greeting our new hires and welcoming them into our union may be initially coming from an email or a phone call, or we could create a new employee orientation via Zoom meeting. But you also got to keep in mind that if the only thing that we're getting is a district email, we're not supposed to be using district email to contact or to use for union business. So we won't be able to use district email. So when I said a new employee orientation by a Zoom meeting, that's something that we're now exploring. But again, that's another topic for another day in a future training coming to a Zoom meeting near you. So the third thing is we want access as soon as possible. Waiting 90 days is way too long. And number 4, we need release time so that a membership officer or a building rep can meet with our potential new members during normal business hours. So we know that many of our chapters have been real successful in bargaining this language into their contract, that is allowing for a release time for their leaders to meet with the new hires. So whether it's a new employee orientation that's hosted by the district and we get to come in for our 30 minutes and share our information about our union, or this could be site visits by a membership officer or a building rep so that they can have those one-on-one conversations. So I had a list of questions that I was going to put up in the PowerPoint, but I think that we have so many people online, and I know that we want to get home and be able to relax tonight. So I'm going to allow you to hear from Ruth Morgan. She is the chapter president from Edmonds CSS chapter, and she and her field rep Johnny have been real successful in getting this into their contract, and I would like Ruth to be able to tell you what her success rate has been. So Ruth, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Ruth Morgan. As Michelle said, I'm a para with the Edmonds School District, and I'm also our chapter president and the former membership officer. We are a group of paras over 470 members strong. That's pretty awesome. So some of the best practices in our chapter is the strong contract language that we bargained. It requires our employer to provide a certification of all new hires. We also receive quarterly report that includes information on all paras that are currently working for the district. In order to obtain the list of the retired, resigned, or those who've unfortunately been terminated, I do have to look that up each month in the school board agenda of classified personnel actions. But it's, you know, real easy that they send it to me. Section 4.4, notifications of our CBA reads, during the term of this agreement, the district will quarterly provide the association with the name, hire date, hourly rate, and hours per day worked by the employees in the bargaining unit. Newly hired employees' information will be provided on a monthly basis. Last year, we were having awesome success at welcoming new hires into our union because we were allowed at the new employee orientations because of our contract language. And it also provided the release time for us to attend and meet with our new hire employees. And I usually got to see them before they actually started working, so it was pretty cool. And our numbers were fabulous. And section 4.13 regarding our release time in our CBA states, new employees will be provided an opportunity to meet with a PSE representative for 3 minutes during the first 90 days of the employee's start date. The 30 minutes will occur during the new employee's work shift as paid time. These opportunities will occur during the new employee orientation when possible. What do we need for continued success? Well, because of COVID, our world has changed. We aren't all working in buildings anymore. and we don't have the ability to meet members face to face and greet new hires. We'll be going back to the bargain additional language so that we can get personal contact information of all new hires, and in addition to be notified when anyone leaves the district, retires, or terminated. That would save some time on my part. Our new way of greeting new hires may be sending an email or making a phone call or perhaps even knocking on a door. But none of this could be done without the good personal contact information. Thank you for your time, and back to you, Michelle.
All right. Thanks, Ruth. Appreciate you telling us about your successes. So remember the old term, strength in numbers and power at the bargaining table. The only way we're going to win better contracts is if everyone belongs. So I'm going to challenge all of you that do not have language in your contract to work really hard to bargain that release time so that you can meet with your new hires, and that the district will provide ongoing notification with personal contact for your newly hired and newly members with PSE. So that is all I have on that. We need the next slide. So this is member retention and technology. So PSE conducts audits for each chapter 3 times a year. And then this is different than a regular ongoing flow of notifications for the hire, retire, and terminations like what I was talking about earlier. These audits are used to ensure that the dues and billing is correct and to help double check that all new hires, retires, and terminations are being reported regularly. So the title of this slide says member retention and technology, but if we're going into the 21st century, with having good information on our members, it's a must. I mean, our world has really literally changed because of COVID, and I can tell you that working with some of the chapters that have been having elections to ratify their contracts or to change their bylaws, if we don't have contact information for people, number one, they can't vote because we can't send them an email to vote. We're sending out hustle text messages. If we don't have a cell number, they're not going to receive it. And then again, when we send an e-sign, which is basically an electronic form, it's instantaneous. The minute they sign that form, they become a member. And we can do that by sending it out through email. So again, I want to double back on, we really need good data. We really need good information on all our new hires. So now I'd like to turn it over to Linda. Do you want to tell us who you are and what you do?
Hi, everybody. My name is Linda Johnson. I'm the Regional Office Coordinator out of the State Office in Auburn. So I work mainly with the field reps and the MESs Member Engagement Specialists like Michelle, and kind of from Linden to Eatonville, I guess. So if you call the State Office, the Field Services Department, you'll get me. If you go online and you request like a postcard or a meeting or anything like that, a Zoom meeting, you might end up with me likely. So I schedule Zoom meetings, I do the leadership updates, send out blast emails. I help members get logged into their portal or connect if they're having problems. So I tend to format and track and kind of upload the contracts and bylaws and things like that for access for members. And I run the PSE Lawyer Referral Program. In a nutshell, I guess that is basically what I do. So I'm here to support members any way I can. If any of you need anything, call the state office, Field Services Department, and happy to help you. And I guess with that, I'm turning it back over to Rich.
So we have our first poll question this evening. And the poll will be popping up here soon. The poll question is, have you logged into the PSC Member Portal and Connect? I see a lot of people staring. I don't know if they're clicking.
Looks like we have about 78% of everyone voted so far. So if you haven't gotten your votes in, Give another couple seconds here.
We can get to 90. We can do it.
84. I think we can keep going while those last few votes trickle in, Rich.
Okay.
It looks like we've got about 63% said yes, they have. So looks like the majority of folks on the call have been on the platform.
Okay, 63 is good. That's more than 50%, but we would like it a lot higher than that. So if you haven't got into the portal, can you type into the chat as to why? If you're having issues getting in, or you didn't know about it, we need to know these things.
Yeah, and while we kind of have those chat kind of come in here, I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide here and just kind of do a quick demo on how to log in to PSE Connect and the portal. Right now it's just a little bit of information about the platform, but I'm actually going to exit out of this and we can take a look ourselves here. So I'm going to pull up the PSE website. As you can see, it's just pseclassified.org. And while we're here, I do want to point out this page here. It's the new landing page about unemployment questions. So if you're a leader or a member with questions, this is where we're going to be updating this page with everything about unemployment insurance. It's going to link to the ESD website and everything. So hopefully this will be a good resource in the future for as those questions roll in. But I'm going to draw your attention here to the right where it says log in to my portal. So to log in, you just click there and it's going to take you where you can log on. So if you're not sure if you've been on before, or maybe you have and you forgot your password, a good first step is just to go ahead and click here to reset your login information. This is a good way to know if you have an account and also to choose a new password. So I'm just going to log in here under my account. And the first thing you see is our fabulous board of directors smiling at you, welcoming you into the portal. And just wanted to kind of do a quick highlight here on the My Profile section. So there's a lot of options here at the menu, but particularly under My Profile, you can just go to My Info. I know a common question we get a lot is, why don't I receive PSE email, or I didn't receive that text? This shows you right here everything we have on file for you. So if you don't receive emails from us, a big reason for that might be we just might not have the correct email address. So you can go on and you can update all of your information electronically here. Just make sure you hit save at the bottom when you're done. You can also check out all the information about your member benefits. Again, we're going to be doing a whole webinar on benefits next Thursday, so definitely recommend you register for that for a little more deep dive into that. Resources, you can find older copies of our newsletter, all sorts of state bylaws, your contract, your chapter bylaws, any forms. You can also find how much you pay in dues, who your chapter leadership is under here, chapter summary. So it's got a lot of great resources here, so I highly encourage you to go on and check it out. But for Connect here, it's the last piece on this menu bar here. So if we click here, we've had a lot of folks ask, do I need to log on twice? No, you don't, actually. Once you get to this page, you can just click on Connect, and guess what? It just automatically redirects you, so you just have to log in once. So up here in Connect, you can see your profile, you can see which communities you're a part of, and your messages, if you have any. So under here are my communities that I'm a part of. Everyone is a part of the all member community. And you can think of this online as kind of a substitute for Facebook that's really secure just for PSE members. You have to be a member in good standing to be able to log in to Connect and participate in the discussion posts. So if you go on here, you can kind of see the conversations that are happening from across the state. If you go down and click more here, it'll take you to kind of this message board, which is really the community. So you can click in here, see who posted about what, you know, add to the conversation. There are communities for your chapter. There are communications for your classifications. So if you want to connect with, let's say, fellow paraeducators or fellow bus drivers across the state, you could definitely do that with the communities here. So I just encourage you to get on and take a look here. But also here are our events tab. So this shows the upcoming events and where you can register for them as we come up here. So we've got the 2 regional trainings left this week, but then we also have, as I mentioned, those webinars next week. So you can go ahead and register now for all of these awesome webinars for next week. I think there's going to be some really great content, so I highly encourage you to do that. So let's see. I think there might have been a question here in the chat. Was it Shelly? Did you have a question about membership?
Yeah, I think Shelly had a question. Yeah.
Yes, on the membership list, a lot of times when I go into that, it doesn't match up at all. Like we're talking months off on the list, like when corrections are made or new forms are filled out for new PSC members, they're not showing up on the list.
Okay. Well, I'm not quite sure why that would be. I know that it directly pulls a list right from our database, so it has the most up-to-date information on it when you pull a new list through the portal. But it sounds to me like maybe we want to connect you with somebody from our membership department, just so we can kind of do a little bit more of a deep dive into that and kind of see what's going on if you're experiencing that. So I'll shoot you a message here in just a sec.
Okay, thank you.
Cool, thanks. Any other questions about the portal or Connect while we're kind of...
I'm seeing a few come in about people using their own personal email. The key word that Travis used in this entire presentation here is security. And we'd like everybody to use Connect for everything. I know it's not flashy. If you send a message to somebody that said you need a new pair of boots for the upcoming picket line, you're not going to get a whole bunch of ads that for boots through Amazon or anything like that. You're going to get, this actually has a huge amount of potential for putting everything that we've got in here. And that nice little group that's out there hanging, always looking for a way to find private information, the Freedom Foundation, using your work email, that's just something that they could get a hold of. Somebody else could see an email that you did not intend for somebody else, and they could get information. You could put accidentally spill some bargaining information on there, and those email servers are monitored, so it is not private. So please, personal email only.
And I know we've heard a lot of folks use Facebook for everything for chapter related, and we definitely would encourage you to get off of Facebook now. We've got a very secure platform meant for just that purpose. A good thing that chapters sometimes do is you can just post a direct link to a discussion from Connect on the Facebook page for your chapter, and folks can just go and log in and join the online secure community. This is definitely the direction that everything's heading in with the world with technology. I know that sometimes there can be a bit of a learning curve and getting everyone on a new platform, but I can tell you with COVID and everything going on right now, I'm really glad we have this platform for everyone to be able to connect when we can't join together physically. So definitely encourage you to get on there and check it out. Our membership and communications team are here to answer any questions as well. So we'll have that contact info kind of at the very end here. Okay, so I think we might be done with this Connect demo. Let me get back to the presentation here. Okay, Rich, it's all yours now.
Okay, so I guess this is kind of get to dive into the dystopian side of things here a little bit, as if we're not already in that realm. 21st century unions, what are those going to look like? What are our members going to expect with the all new technologies, and hopefully all new converging technologies, and not just everywhere? Again, plugged with Connect. Generally, members want transparent, convenient, accessible information about their chapters due to their busy schedules. This next part here is a question. What are your chapters plan to utilize technology for 2020 and 21? For online posting of agendas, minutes, and documents, on chapter communities, online chapter meetings. How many people have noticed a significant increase in their membership, general membership meetings attendance since COVID has hit? I know that some of the meetings at Western have tripled. So COVID is going to have an impact, not just during the COVID epidemic, but when it has ended. There are going to be some things that we're all going to find worked really well under COVID, and it's going to continue. Online voting, ratifications, VIVA, bylaws, amendments, etc. When you start talking about this, you have to start talking about what our rules and regulations are the labor board rules, RCW rules, state rules, bylaws, policies, procedures, and how those are going to be looked at. So I'd like to kind of open this up for the chat room, just for people to just kind of post their experiences in here real quick or speak up, especially how the Zoom meetings are going, and particularly what you would like to see worked on. Or I like to say it's kind of fluid because we really don't know how this is all going to turn out, but we know it's going to change. But yes, please chip in.
I don't know if anybody from Stanwood would like to speak up, but I've been reminded we did not only just bargain and ratify a contract, but we voted on bylaws 3 times, all online. And there was a learning curve for a lot of us, and I'm not ashamed to say that was including me, but we've had, as you said, Rich, 4 or 5 times the participation that we would get in all aspects of that. And so I don't know if anybody else wanted to speak up on that from that team.
I will. We, when we voted, we had far more participation. Members loved it because no matter where they were, some were on vacation, they were sent a hustle text to their phone, accessed the link through there, and then went online and voted, and we had a huge voter turnout. It was really wonderful. Everybody was very afraid of it at first, so our bylaw vote was kind of a test run for everybody. And when they realized how easy it was, they were all in there for ratification, and it turned out really well. Michelle was a huge help with that, getting that set up and talking to our members and helping walk some of them through it. And I'd love to always vote that way. It was so successful.
I would agree that there's a lot more participation, actually. And I don't know how much of it, I'm sure a lot of it has to do with COVID and the uncertainty, but I think part of it has to do with the accessibility. So people can be at home, they fed their kids dinner, and they can be on a meeting. So I think this is actually good. But I do think, because we don't know what's going to happen in the coming year or two, we're going to need to figure out how to have officer elections legally.
Jody, you're right. It's kind of one of those things where that's where we struggled with is officer elections, bylaw ratification, or changing our bylaws, getting new bylaws in there. But I had, in 8 days, I had 7 meetings for each unit. Just for example, I had 247, I think 47 or 48 people online.
Yes.
And it's like, that's, you know, that's 3/4 of our people. And I didn't, for a lot of our people, traveling at 6 o'clock at night to a meeting is, you know, 30, 40 miles. So it really does bring up the point that how are we going to do this in the future? How are we going to get the elections done? And if we can do this and work it out that way, I see a hybrid someday where we have a Zoom meeting / live meeting for those people who would like to come, because we do serve pizza and stuff at our meetings. And so it's a lot of people, that's the only meal they get, good meal they get.
Virtually. Virtual pizza doesn't count.
Oh.
I agree with Brad. I think if we could do both, I mean, I think it strengthens, I know it strengthened our chapter because the more people that are informed, the more interest it generates, because there's a lot going on. And if you don't really know what's going on, and it's one thing to actually be hearing it and be a part of it, whether it's in person or through Zoom. And it's very different to just get the email that tells you about it or something. But when you're hearing the dialogue and the conversation, I just feel like it really helped generate interest in our chapter this year that we hadn't had before.
Hey, Michelle, did you believe that more people participated because they were more comfortable, or because they had a platform to speak, or was it just because they felt more comfortable because they were home? And I don't know. I thought more people spoke, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I would agree. I would agree with Jody that I think it's a combination. I think that one is with COVID, there's more people just doing less outside of their home, right? So there's more people are available at home. But I also think because, like Jody also said, I mean, you can, turn your video off, be doing dinner, still listening, still participating. You've worked all day and you can still you can be in your PJs and, attend a meeting kind of thing. And so I just think it's easier for busy people. And I also think because they were more available because of COVID, but I still believe that even if once we're just phase 4 and we're free to roam about, I still think attendance would be higher. Maybe not as high, but I still think it would be certainly much higher than, at least for our chapter, our in person. I mean, if we had a dozen, we were doing well. And we had like 89, I think like 70 something, 80 something. So, I still think it helps for numbers.
We tried as a,
I was going to say, like, it just filled my heart with joy to see so many people in a meeting again. I was just so happy as a member to see that. And I've yet to do a meeting as a zone director, but it gives me the notion that I can do it too. And to know it gives people that joy to see familiar faces. It's something that we should consider doing as a hybrid, even if we do in-person meetings.
We tried at the university to do an online meeting prior to COVID, and it really didn't work. I mean, it should have worked. We did it during people's lunch hours. They were sitting at their desks. They should have just been able to get in easily. So again, COVID being a motivator of some kind, I think a lot of people had a sense of urgency too. They needed to know. They had information they needed to get. They wanted to be part of the conversation. And I think it took that fear level of the technology away, that urge to get with the group that hopefully knows what's going on. And they took that dive. And I think now they found out, hey, this isn't so bad. I can navigate Zoom. And so I'm also hoping that when we get through this next year or two into phase 4 and things calm down, that we don't lose that many people, that they've become very comfortable with the technology. Now, that being said, and the way technology is, of course, it's all going to change, but yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for some really great discussion. Just want to keep an eye on time and be respectful for everyone's evening here. And let's go ahead and move on. Our next section here is going to be our classification breakouts. So you should automatically be placed in a breakout room momentarily with other members in your classification. We're going to spend a few minutes talking about what does return to work look like for your classification, and safety and personal concerns, and anything you might need from PSE. And then we're going to come back and we'll do a quick report out. So let's go ahead and break out to those rooms, and we'll spend a few minutes talking about this.
Unmute. The host is inviting you to join break room. Paraeducator.
If you haven't gone to a room, please make sure you select the join breakout room on your screen.
Make sure you don't drop it in the floor. You got enough for.
And we're back.
Y'all can smile.
Sorry about that if anybody got cut off mid-sentence.
I thought I was going to be the only one in my little room, and I was just going to throw a fit with myself because nobody else would have seen it. So it just didn't work out that way.
So just keeping an eye on time for everyone here. We're coming up on 8 o'clock, so just want to be as respectful as we can. Really quickly, do we want to go around and kind of share some key takeaways? I know we each kind of assigned somebody or maybe two people to report out from each group.
Just to say that the group that I was in, the last thing that was mentioned before we cut out was that everybody was really interested in getting together on a Zoom meeting with just the paras and just discuss stuff that we were discussing earlier. Just to be able to talk to each other and to help each other out. I think there was a lot of interest in that. And I have no problem with facilitating something like that. But there was just, there's a lot of questions that really can't be answered at this moment, not until the districts figure out what they're going to do. Just my 2 cents.
I'm representing group 2, which was a group of paras, and they bullied me into doing their report, but I'll get over it. And we really came up with 4 themes, and I think what the gentleman just mentioned is true. Everything is speculative until we know how school is going to occur. But there were 4 items that came through. One was the issue, and I just saw it pop up in chat, how are we going to do social distancing? Because a number of districts in Northwest Washington have applied to the governor to reduce the social distancing in classrooms from 6 feet to 3 feet. Although Mount Vernon was a part of that, and they're now saying they won't follow that rule. The second one is how are paras and others going to deal with students with special needs, that have special needs? Because it seems to have been one of the areas during mostly doing online training that parents feel like their students weren't well served. And then some working condition items, as someone suggested, who's going to be forced to take students' temperature, which I've refocused to say, how are we going to divide up the work? And we sort of closed with the concept that all of us in PSE staff and the members need to work together to be proactive, to make sure people have safe work environments, and bargain over the changes in working conditions.
Awesome, thanks, Tim. Anybody else from other breakout groups want to share?
I was with the transportation group, and they discussed mainly working conditions, safety apparels, and even kind of broke into the wearing glasses for driving, and also having to wear a mask mandated by your district, which would cause your glasses to fog up. So a lot of questions stemming off of questions, many dealing with safety, some with parents dropping kids off and leaving at the bus, and how are districts going to deal with these situations that come up with people trying to either skirt around the system or just not follow it altogether. So there's some very valid concerns, and they probably should be explored, like people are saying in the chat, a little bit deeper on breakout. Thank you.
So this is Johnny. I was with that favorite group known as Other Services. We talked a lot about health concerns, including a very lively discussion with 2 of my favorite LPNs. I'm biased, but they're in my Arlington chapter. I kind of talked about their different perspectives on COVID, and that was really fascinating. We had a new member, Rosie, who was about to tell us what her job was, and then we got cut off. So Rosie, feel free to put that in the chat room. We missed you.
Okay. All right. I think the one group we haven't reported in yet, I was with the child nutrition group, and we divided our concerns at least into some of the operational concerns and personal concerns that the members working in that group have. One of the things that's really special about this group is so many of them have been working on site throughout the COVID crisis to meet the demands that we still provide meals to students in need, as everyone has been home from school. But as they return to work, one of the big things that's coming up is that their operations are basically going to be split in two. They're going to be providing